Business owners have been citing the Magna Carta to defy lockdown rules which ban certain businesses from operating in England. One hair salon owner is facing fines of up to £17,000 after repeatedly ignoring police and council warnings not to stay open.
I don't consent to any fines, so it'll just be returned to sender.
Well, Sinead Quinn, who owns Quinn Blakey Hairdressers near Bradford, had already been fined on 2 occasions after council members and the police caught her trading. But during one confrontation, Quinn told officials she didn't consent to the fine, citing the common law as her defence. She'd also put up a poster in the salon window referring to the law, claiming the shop is under its jurisdiction. Well, to clarify the confusion over the law, I'm joined by lawyer and current affairs commentator Stephanie Hayden. Stephanie, thank you for joining us. Citing the 1215 Magna Carta as a defence, what's the basis behind this?
Well, the basis from their point of view is that they say they come under the jurisdiction of the common law, and that as subjects, citizens of this country, they are not subject to any other law, which they, in a manner of speaking, they say that that only relates to their body corporate, their birth certificate, if you like. And to put it simply, they're misconceived wrong. It's legal gobbledygook.
Indeed. Well, these so-called legal defences, though, they're kind of rife on social media, are they? How can we tackle this and keep people better informed?
Well, of course, social media is a culprit in many things. It comes down to a public education campaign. The law has to be explained clearly and in an accessible fashion. And let's be blunt, with the current lockdown regulations, most lawyers do not really understand them. They're confusing. They change rapidly. It applies in different areas, depending on where you are in the country. And if lawyers really can't understand these rules and explain them clearly, then heaven help if you're expecting members of the public to do so.
Well, do you think then, based on that, that the salon owner will have to pay the full fine? I mean, it sounds pretty excessive, especially if she says she was misinformed.
Well, unfortunately, this may sound a cliche, but it's absolutely true. Ignorance is no defence when it comes to the law. The law is the law. Now, in terms of the regulations which have made businesses close during this lockdown period and indeed previous lockdown periods, they are what lawyers call secondary legislation. So in other words, a minister, in this case, the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has come along, he's signed a set of regulations, and the power for those regulations actually comes under an Act of Parliament, which is 36 years old, called the Public Health Control of Disease Act 1984. And that is the legal authority that Parliament has given the government to make these regulations. And one thing that has happened over the last few months is there's been various attempts at challenging these regulations legally by way of judicial review in the High Court. And none of these challenges have really got past first base. So to answer your question directly, if the lady is being fined, and unless she can successfully challenge that in a court, then yes, she will have to pay.
Well, I was also going to ask you, Stephanie, you can actually appeal against those fines, can't you? Because there have been cases where people have effectively said, I don't agree with that fine, they are excessive, and the judges have agreed with them, haven't they?
Absolutely. Just to explain very briefly the process, what happens is if a police officer feels you've breached these regulations, you will be issued with what's known as a penalty notice. So that's effectively, think of it almost, and I don't wish to diminish the seriousness of this, but like effectively a parking ticket. So you're given a notice and says, you've breached this regulation, you must pay £1,000 or whatever the fine may be. Now, if you don't agree with that, you can decide to take that to court, the magistrate's court. And if you do that, there would be a full court hearing, the prosecution and the defence, and the judge would decide. Now, of course, the judge may decide that, the fine should not have been given and that you're not guilty of any criminal offence. But the risk you run is that if you challenge it and the judge decides that, yes, you are guilty, not only are you likely to face a substantially higher fine and legal costs, you'll then get a criminal record.
Indeed, fascinating stuff. Stephanie Hayden, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.